Thank you for coming, watching the next segment of the video. Today, I want to go over the following of private networks and reserved IP addresses. Now, a private versus a public network means, so over here, public is for your big network, your ISPs, and also your internal networks of a company. So, company's internal network. Internal network. It also, public IPs are non-routable to the internet. So non-routable to the web. Your private, now there's another section of IPs are your private IPs, are routable and are routable. Your home network uses a private IP address. So an example would be your home network. And the ISPs assign this to, let's say you get Comcast or you get Sprint or so on, T-Mobile. They assign you a private IP address. Helps get you on the internet, basically. gets on web. Now your public consists of like IPs, any IPs outside of the private IPs. So now here's your private IPs here. You got your 10.000 through 10.255.255.255. And this is also considered a Class A address. Class A. 10 through, I used to remember it and jog it into my memory of, okay, Class A has a private IP range of 10.0 through 10.255. And I just kept it simple. So when it comes to the tests, when they say, hey, what's your Class A? Or a company says, hey, why can't I get on the internet? Well, what are you using? Okay, you're using a 10 dot network, so that's a Class A. That should work. So you got to check other routers. But let's say they have a 9 dot something, or a 2 dot something, or a 11 dot something. That is considered public IP address range. So anything outside the private IP. So if I could list the public IP addresses, but it's so much easier just to remember the private. And if they say, okay, is this a public or private IP address? Is out of 2.3.4.0, is that a public or private? And you're like, oh, that's definitely a public. Why is it a public? It's outside this range of 10 dot whatever. So 10 dot whatever, if it's not in that range and it's a Class A address, is definitely public, right? Then you got your Class B address range, which is 172.16.0.0 through 172.31.255.255. So based off of this, Class A private IP address range are all in the tens. 10 dot whatever. Boom. That's your. So technically, Class A private range is the easiest one to remember. Just 10 dot whatever is a private IP. Everything outside of that is public on a Class A. Class B, the 172.16 through 172.31. Technically, as long as you remember Class B private range of 172.16 and you just times 16 times 2 is 31, technically it's 32, but 31.255.255 is technically the same thing as saying, let's say 99.9999999, right? So it's really technically 100. It's like so damn close, it's not even laughable. So you go 16 times 2 is 32. So 172.16 through 172.32 minus 1 equals your Class B range. That's how I used to memorize that range. Your Class C addresses are going to be 192.168.0.0 through what? Did I forget a 2? Yes, I did. Sorry, my lips are dry. I need to get some lip balm or something. 192. So 192.168.255.255. But I guess you could just say, you can also look at 255 as everything in that octet is, it covers everything in that octet technically. And Class C is actually technically really, really easy to remember because your home router has a 192.68 network. Any home network, unless you've changed it, will start with a 192.168. That's your Class C. Your Class C is the most used class to get on the internet with. Now, these are your list of your private IP addresses. Private helps you get on the network and become routable. Public, which is every number beyond these ranges, are not routable and are mostly used by your ISPs, your internet service provider like AT&T, Verizon, Telnet, all that kind of stuff. Telnet's not even a freaking ISP, whatever. then that's technically all you need to know on that. Is there anything else? Yes. I guess I could go over the broadcast. So I'm going to delete this. You could always come back if you need to. Now, these are considered reserved IP addresses or IPs. The 255 reserved means you cannot use these at all. 255.255.255. This one is reserved for broadcasting messages. So broadcasting messages. My G's are not technically, if you can't read cursive, messages. And then there's the 0.0.0.0, which this one is for unassigned IPs. If it's technically, it's not used. And then there's the 127.0.0.1. Now, if you're already in networking, you already know what this means. You This is the loopback address. Loopback is used for testing, make sure your NIC is working. So let's say you have a computer and you're connected to the wall in the on the wall port, and you can't get the internet. Well, so there's no internet connection, so you put an X in the middle because there's no connection. To figure if you have a connection issue or if it's a network issue is technically there are several ways of doing it. One, you can use a different cord to see if that Ethernet cord, see if that works. Use a different port. You could try a different port. You could try a different computer on that port. Or you could do a loopback address. And technically, every computer has what they call a NIC. NIC. So that's a network interface call. Network interface card. The network interface card is what you plug your Ethernet to. It has that, it's called an RJ11 or RJ45, my bad. RJ11 is not used for internet anymore, unless you just have an old modem. But RJ45, basically you just plug your Ethernet cord into that, and that's what gives you the internet. Now you could test that network card by doing a ping test to the 127. So you open up your command prompt, your CMD, basically your command prompt. You could technically click on Windows icon in the lower left. I think on Windows 11, it's actually more in the middle now. So you click on that and you type in CMD, and you can bring up the command prompt. Once you do the command prompt, it's a black window. It'll tell you basically where you're at in the operating system. And you just type in ping, and then you just type in 127.0.0.1. Now, if it'll either be successful or not successful. So it'll come back as the ping times, basically. So if it shows, how do I say this? Time to live, TTL. If it shows a TTL, it's working. TTL, time to live. And it shows a number next to it and it just goes down pretty fast, it's working. If it doesn't and it says something like ping timeout, if it says ping timeout, for example, that means you have a bad NIC, which means you have to replace your network interface card with a new one. Either buy a new one or use an external one or get a new laptop or a computer, whatever you want to do. Basically, your NIC's bad, replace it. It could be a bad driver. You could download and see if that'll work. Download a new driver to that NIC. If you know how to do it, great. If not, just replace it. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you're seeing and you want to subscribe to more content, please hit the like and subscribe button for more content. Thanks for watching.